Oh, damn. Dig, you beautiful people.
Hell yeah.
Yo, man. How you doing?
Dude, Monday, you always get off to a rollicking start. But by and large, I had a good weekend. What I'm curious about is you. I feel like I barely talked to you because you're cranking now on Modern Rogue intensive therapy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're doing a pod, right? Is that what they call it? We're doing a production pod. So we want to make the most out of having everybody here. Probably a bit of a confounding element that friggin' Andrew Heaton was here as well.
Yeah. Did he make his way onto any of the episodes?
No, but we did have a number of interesting conversations, and it was super sweet. When he left, there was a bit of choked upness between the two of us, where it's like I don't know, it's like it's a wacky world we live in, and sometimes you find yourself connected to someone and you wonder, just how we got here, but you're thankful for it. And that was one of those moments. But so far, we are 1 week into the Monologue production pod. So 8 episodes, 4 ads, and 4 half-cooked episodes, which is a lot on top of all of the podcasts and
oh god,
the other
yeah.
productions.
I mean, that's before you even before you even get into what we do on the podcast side. Let me real quick ask you about Heaton.
Sure.
Because he was he's going back to LA if he's not in LA already, and he's figuring out whether or not he is going to exit LA immediately or exit slightly longer because of his rent, whatever. That from what I've understood from him, he's just literally figuring out whether or not he can break his lease and like touch base and then get the hell out, or and have to wait for a little bit and get the hell out.
Keep in mind, like, my advice to him, which he probably did not want to hear, was some version of keep it, find somebody else to occupy it, and now that's more stuff you get to deduct from taxes. Like every, every microwave, every toaster oven, every whatever.
I'll tell you what, the question would really be whether or not you could, because rents in these high rent areas are collapsing.
Oh, really? So it might end up being a bad thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, who knows? It really depends on what he wants to do and where he wants to go. But what I'm curious about, because I'm positive it happened, I just don't know to the degree that it happened. 1 out of 10, how hard was your pitch for him to move back to Austin in intensity?
Oh, 0, actually.
0, really? Because you were very moved back to Austin when he was thinking about leaving.
More of a get out of LA pitch, right? Like if you had phrased the question as how intense is my get out of LA pitch, it would have been an 8 out of 10. But he's got an opportunity in Tulsa that sounds pretty good, and I think.
Oh, is this the program? Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
All he has to do is live and be awesome in Tulsa. And I'm like, that sounds like a pretty good fit, right? The only question was, do you break a lease? Do you argue with a landlord or whatever on that stuff? And I'm like, I don't think he has much of an appetite for any of that stuff.
Yeah. Also, there was a time where I would think that. Well, here, let me put it this way. The last night Ashley and I had out pre-COVID was with Shannon Morris and her husband Keith.
Yeah.
That night, they were talking about, it was going to be our last night hanging out with them because they were moving to Colorado. And they had negotiated with their landlord to get out of their lease early because they were able to close on this house earlier than they thought. And the landlord was fine with it because in that world, rents were still going up. So they were like, all right, look, we'll put it out in the market. If we can sell it, if we can rent it rather, then, you guys will be out of the lease. If not, we can figure out, going on. And they apparently found a renter for it very quickly. I wonder, I'm curious, maybe I should hit up Heaton. I'm curious to see what those conversations are like now, as some people in these areas are like renegotiating their rents and other people are just being like, peace. Before a landlord having a month-to-month tenant was a good thing because they could be out at any time and then you could raise the rent. Now, I don't know.
I think if I remember correctly, the version of the story that I told him was like, look, here's one version of the story where all of a sudden the value of the apartment goes way, way down. Guess what? You've locked in a friend of a friend who is living there, and now you're somehow making a profit because they're paying, X number of dollars, and meanwhile you're paying less number of dollars.
Yeah.
There's also an alternate version where all of a sudden rents go way up, in which case you pass along that to whoever you have in there, in which case you still get all of the benefits of, the tax deductions and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how much of an appetite for the entrepreneurial engine Andrew has.
Which, odd considering what he fucking always talks about.
Right?
Well, you want to know what, though? I think that some people are just race car drivers. And you look at Heaton, and that man is a fucking race car driver. Like, if I were building a network, I would get two things, Heaton and a good producer. Because I know that Heaton is going to bring 50% of it. The other 50% of it could be whittled out by a great producer and made into something exceptional. The same way he worked with Jennings and made Something's Off, like, just amazing. Like, there are times that I look at the stuff he did there visually, the stuff he did there, like audio wise, the amount of comedy that they wrote. Like, it is to this day one of the most insane undertakings.
Man, I'm trying to stay in bounds here, but there was definitely a conversation that we had where the subject matter was unrelated to the stuff that he talks about, and it's like all of a sudden, for somebody who is very, very good at being measured and polite and kind in all of his explanations of everything, I saw a dude who was fed up with some shit. And and it felt to me like some PCE, some pussy crushing energy. And I was just like, oh my God, I need to see more of this from you. and so I
again, with more intensity.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's probably as far to the boundary as I can go without overstepping.
Here's all I know. Realistically, I look at Heaton and I see somebody that will always be a better presenter than I am and a better writer than I am. I think that there are pure talent. There is pure talent there, the likes of which that as I grow more into my own, specifically in a similar vein of a political commentary person, like, there is a level there. You just have to realize, even if you're a good pitcher, some people can throw 105 every day and other people can't. Like, and like, I can hope to summon it up for the playoffs and maybe I can win. Right. But I know that I'm just not going to roll out of bed and write like Heaton. I know I'm not going to roll out of bed and present like Heaton. Now, meanwhile, I think in terms of like the pure podcasting thing, I can roll out of bed and do a show in a way that Heaton would feel uncomfortable. Heaton would feel like he needed to write more. Heaton would feel that he needed to edit more. And so it's like, there are different elements there, but I would say for him, yeah, I don't know. I
would 100% agree with that, because like we all have our unique gifts, and I don't think I'd be talking out of school if I were to say that you and I are both intimidated by his let's say superior, for lack of a better word, joke writing capacity, right? His ability to take a blank page.
No, not
and
not
craft
for
a
lack of a
thing.
better word. Better.
Okay.
He is an exceptional joke writer.
Right.
Like there's
Right.
no doubt about it.
I feel like you and I have a gift for connecting with the audience and understanding what might be possible. And it could be that ambition is our greatest gift, right? Where it's like, no matter what we're given, I think you and I both have an inherent gut instinct to be all like, well, this must be garbage. What's above it? And then to see if we can, try to punch God in the face. Heaton does not have that. He is satisfied with just being very, very good at comedy.
Well, I mean, but I think that really is like, that's how we would look at it, because we value everybody. You only really know the topography of your own country, like, intimately. So you can say, like, from his perspective, I do think that, I mean, have you ever seen his old Econ Pop YouTube show?
No. Should I pop it up?
He did. Well, he tweeted something yesterday. So it's on his Twitter, but it was an old YouTube series and it was him reviewing movies and, explaining some of the economic elements of it. Right.
Demolition Man.
Writing's
Is
not
that a good one?
I have not seen. All I've seen is the one that he posted yesterday, and that was about Elysium. Because I remember him mentioning that was one that wound up with him getting more work. But if I assume this is all probably the same thing. And really, what I wanted to show you was just kind of the quality of cinematography, the quality of editing, where.
Really feel like you fit in anywhere?
You are an incredibly sensitive man who inspires joy feelings in all those around you.
Thanks, computer. Do you want to be friends?
Of course I want to be friends.
That's awesome. What do you want to do today, best friend? Okay. Who do you want to murder, death, kill?
Everyone.
Before we do that, I think I'm going to have a delicious frappuccino.
Simon Phoenix, lie down with your hands behind your back.
Caffeine's illegal in this century, isn't it?
It sure is.
So yeah, it begins with him in the movie, and then he talks about it. But it's like, man, that you look at that, and you're like, that guy needs a staff. That guy needs because when you put him forward like that, when you polish him up, it's just like, oh, there we go. That's where he's gonna be a starting star. Like that's who Heaton is.
We did have a talk 2 or 3 nights ago where he did that thing where, and I understand why anybody would say this, but like, oh my goodness, I'm just trying to keep up with your prodigious output. You put out so much stuff, and then I break down. It was Brian Tracy who said, figure out the one part of the operation to which you are absolutely vital and outsource every single other thing else.
Yeah.
Which is why, we have 4 producer editors, and why, I'm live on air and I read the things and I do the whatever. And I think Andrew was in the middle of having the impulse to do the reverse, where it's like, well, I don't need to pay an editor to do this. I could do this on my own. And then what, of course, all of that absorbs all of your time and you get nothing done. I don't know.
It's hard mostly because that is a lesson that we have learned, is like, or at least I have learned at the point where I started wanting to do one mic stuff. The reason why I wanted to do one mic stuff was because I wanted to learn how to do everything, and I wanted to keep all the money. Like, that was the 2 motivating factors, was figuring out a 360 idea of how to make a good show where Justin's the center, and to make all the money while I was doing it.
And you should know how to do everything, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you should do everything, right?
Yeah.
Ford could walk up and down the assembly line, and there was
Yeah.
not one thing he was confused by. But he was smart enough to know that he shouldn't be the one doing it.
Well, and similarly, you understood what it took to do Scam School. You understood what it would take to outsource Scam School to where you were now the production company that was also producing Scam School. And then eventually you created another show using many of those lessons, your knowledge of yourself as a performer. And then you eventually took over, what was Scam School, now Scam Nation.
Right.
So it's like you understood what that line was, and you went from a place where the money was big enough that like, okay, I can take over and build my own production company. And now that production company can start creating this other thing as well. And so everything can kind of flow like that. And, from my perspective, a lot of it is still doing the one-man band thing. I've got other people helping with like things that I'm not good at, like booking guests and shit like that. But at the end of the day, there is an element of understanding what you're good at, what you're not good at. And maybe part of my skill is that I am a decent producer. Like I'm a decent producer of my own stuff. I'm a decent producer of maybe other stuff. Maybe I should be producing Andrew Heaton's show. Maybe that's what I'm snaking around to.
Yeah, but also it's not just production, it's promotion, right? Like there's something about you and me that seems to have an ability to speak directly to people that appears to be rare. That's about as charitably as I could put it. Like
I think, yeah.
I don't see everybody doing what we're doing, and I suspect that somewhere between the level of honesty and directness, like there's something being appreciated.
Yeah, but part of it, I think, that's just being internet people. In my mind, I think that there's like one part who we are, and then there's one part what we found interesting about the internet, what we found interesting about chat rooms, what we found interesting about connecting to people that aren't here. And by the time that we even got to BB Live Show, talk about your 10,000 hours, we were like already dialed in we were already internet people. The idea that we could become friends over Skype was not something that either of us, we've since used it as a qualifier for like, wow, isn't this cool? You can actually see our entire friendship kind of evolve, but it wasn't like a question that we had, or there wasn't really a whole lot of awkwardness. It really was like,
not to you and me, but meanwhile, like to Bonnie, it was weird. Like Bonnie, it took COVID to get Bonnie in a place where she's like, I'm so thankful that my 16-year-old daughter has friends, even though she's never met them in person. She talks to them every day. And it's like, meanwhile, for whatever reason, you and I lived timelines where that was normal and not weird at all and totally fine.
Yeah, totally. And part of that is connecting to the audience and just also knowing what the internet audience is, because the internet audience has changed. And the internet audience that we knew when we started BB Live Show was a lot easier to understand, because there was still, for as much as you could, there was a monoculture to what internet shit was, quote unquote, right? And it was a little bit of gaming, and it was nerd shit, and it was Star Wars,
these 7
and
memes or whatever.
These 7 memes. I want to build my own PC. Like, it was Linux. Like, there's like a lot of like things that kind of went into settler internet, right? Like, like the internet people that kind of settled this wild land before the hearse came in. And now it's harder, but there are, I think, some core elements. And part of it is like, and I mean this in the most understanding way, but one of the things I realized early on was that the internet was the lonely people's economy. Like, nobody at that point went on the internet necessarily because they were having the best time with real life. They went on because this fucking was way better than real life, and there's going to be physical elements and behavioral elements there that like we can all connect to, because everyone's lonely a little bit. You just got to be in touch with it. You just got to understand what that means.
It's funny because my gut impulse is to be all like, hey, let's punch up that branding on that. But I honestly don't have a better word for it than what you said because I don't know. Like, I deeply value that Penny has real friendships on the internet, but I also acknowledge that if more people loved D&D in our neighborhood, she wouldn't need to go to the internet,
I mean, we are biological, societally programmed creatures, and we have introduced this element that overlays on top of it. But fundamentally, for many generations going forward, biologically, it will be ill-fitting software for hardware, right? Like we can make it work, but this is just the reality. But then again, this kind of gets back to a larger meta point. You knew as a physical performer what kind of audience you were getting into, probably by what? The first couple minutes, like the first couple seconds, like when you were up on stage, how long until when you're at your peak? Like, but how long did it take before you're like, oh, you're this kind of audience? Okay.
Oh, you mean during the performance?
During the performance, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, you would know in the first 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was thankful when the word something School of Engineering was in the name of the school.
Oh, really?
Because I knew exactly what to expect. It's like, they're not going to clap. Don't take it personal. Let's go. And then
There we go.
Yeah. And then after the show, they would walk up and say, that was the best show I had ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, but they're not going to be hooting, hollering, stamping their feet,
Nope.
yelling, screaming. No,
Right.
They're just going to sit very politely and watch the man do his work and then say,
Right.
good
And,
job. You were amazing.
The only way for me to fuck it up would be to take it personally.
Yeah. And just be, fuck you. Hey,
Right.
fuck you. What are you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or the worst move that all comedians do is just like, you say a joke and nobody claps, so you go, you.
Yeah.
Like no, dummy. We got the joke. We just don't want to laugh out loud.
Yeah. But I think that's part of, understanding your audience on the internet. Understanding your audience on the internet is huge. Understanding who's listening to you, who cares about you, what they think about you, whether or not, and part of it, I think for us, has meant taking things more seriously, because both of us have a fucking military grade self-loathing complexes, and there is an instinct always to be like, fuck this sucks, I'm talentless, whatever. But then you talk to people, you understand your audience, and people are like, oh no, like, you guys are a reason why I got through some really hard time. You guys gave me good advice. I've been following this advice. I've been listening to what you say about college or whatever. And you have to realize, wow, like, this isn't me indulging ego to say people like this, because once you understand what people like, then you can program more of it and you can create more of a bond between you and your audience.
So to loop things back around, we were talking earlier about like the possibility of some of my kids not going to college or whatever.
On weird things. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how serious to take those words that came out of my mouth.
Well, I think whether or not your kids will go to college, I think that's just a prop bet, right? Let's have the odds at 2.5 over and under, right?
Right.
The larger thing is where they are, what they want to do, and whether or not, where you're guiding them, right? I mean, I would guess, as someone who's not a father.
Yeah, I suppose I'm wrestling with the fact that all through college, I felt like the sciences were superior to the arts, and there was no justification for that feeling or whatever. Felt like arts was where you go if you just want to, pretend to be at college, and sciences were the real thing.
Yeah.
Flash forward 20 years, I've made not only a career but a multi-million-dollar career in the arts, and I feel like I owe it to the sciences. And so when I think about where my kids need to go, I'm just like, I have no idea what to tell them, and it's really confusing.
Well, I think that there's a very weird, well, weird would be a pejorative. So let's say interesting element that both you and Bonnie have, which is you're both artists. Like and so, if your mom works at the factory and your dad works at the factory, then the way that our brains think is, well, the kids are going to work at the factory. Just so happens that this factory is art and not something else. So I wonder though, where their lives are going to want to take them, where this where I think obviously they all have artistic talent. They all have watched mom and dad do things that other kids are not going to have. But what is the drive? What is the spark? Like, what's that thing that you find at a certain point and say, at the very least, this is a path worth walking?
Yeah, I suppose that's the toughest part is, as you and I both know, like that comes from within. Like there's no me fixing that for them. There's no me explaining that to them, and it's
and you can't
all I
program
can do is
it.
just
Yeah.
watch, right? Yeah.
And that's why it's like, to me, where Josie is right now with you guys doing the YouTube videos, I wonder whether or not that, because I can see a world where it's like, yep, I've been doing this since I was 12. And that's why I'm a super gigantic success, because guess what? Like, I wanted to do it. I kept doing it. And then I started my own channel. And by the time that I was 18, I made $1 million, right?
And we've seen that. We've seen that with Miley Cyrus. We've seen that with Drew Barrymore. We've seen, kids who are like, no, I get it. I understand. I have a temperament for production. I don't mind going back and doing 12 takes. I understand that I have to give the reaction this many times. I get it. And then they go on to be super producers.
And they just crush, right?
Right.
But then on the other side, I could also see her being like, oh, geez, there was these things I did when I was 12. Like, crazy. Like, and now I'm a real estate agent or something like that, right? Like there's a million different things that could happen. And that's, I think for you, part of it is just realizing that there's no way to control it, right?
Well,
it's gonna go where it goes.
I suppose the closest I could get to that is just keeping a close eye. Like, is she having fun? Is this fun for both of us? Is it causing any rifts or trouble or whatever? But man, damned if that's not very much on the forefront of my attention.
Yeah, man. Well, and also you're in a moment where there's not a lot of distraction, right? Like there's not a lot to get in the way. You can
including freaking school or what have you.
Yeah, it would be hard for you to not be paying close attention to her. Like, it would take effort for you to not be on top of the life of your daughters. Like, it would take active ignoring, like to go from one to another. And obviously that's not happening because you're an attentive father. And I think you will keep an eye on it. But I think you're right. You're at a point where, you have to wonder. And now she's close enough, because she's going into late middle school or high school?
7th or 8th grade, I forget. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the cusp of high school, and then at high school, you're on the ramp, right? You're on the, now it's like, oh, okay, well, you got a couple, you got a 4-year project, and then you have an optional 4-year project, but everyone's going to be yelling about the other 4-year project. So you're going to have to make a decision on it at some point. And in the meantime, the formative things that you do during high school are what often kind of shape that first decade of your life.
And I guess also on top of that is the fact that you try to place a bet as a parent as to where the market is headed. So it's like, if it's the 1800s, you're like, you know what? I'm going to bet that there'll be more steam engines, not less. And I'm going to bet that if you are wanting to invest in horse-related technology, maybe you should divert that energy into steam-related technology, and you know, and then and so on and so on. It's been my thought for a while that you know, we're increasingly an information age society where and we've talked about this before, but it's like that's what the book's going to be about, is about how attention is real estate in the minds of other people. And it's increasingly, like, in and of itself, it has no value, but what you could do with it has extraordinary value.
Absolutely. And you know, I think that it's going to be very interesting to see where all your girls go. And look, that Penny decision's close, right? Like, you
Real
know,
close.
like not far away.
Like close enough, I have to start thinking about whether or not I want to curry favor by making donations to the program that I did at UT or not.
Gotcha. Playing that game.
Oh.
Love it.
So weird.
Let me ask you this question then. When it comes to that, has she taken her SATs?
No.
Does that happen? Does the ACTs happen? What happens now?
Well, she's 16, so she probably should have had a PSAT before now, but in private school, I don't know if that ever came up. But yeah, I don't know. She should probably start playing that game.
Because I know that was when shit got real for me.
Yeah.
That was when it was like, oh wait, because because when you're a kid and a teenager and you're going to high school and everything, life is coming at you so fast. You're learning all these new lessons at the same time. You're fucking up constantly. You're assuming that everybody else has it all together, and you're just beating the shit out of yourself fucking every day. And then it becomes very, to me, the lesson became like, well, what does this matter? It's just another goddamn new thing that I'm learning. And everybody's like, some parents freak out about these things, or like, you know, is the SAT just like another prom or school dance or fucking whatever tradition your high school has? Like, you know, we had nerd day. Like, do I give a fuck about nerd day? Do I care about do I care about going to football games? Like, there's all these things that kind of come at you. And then you realize, or at least I did, that it's like, oh no, the SATs are connected to this much larger, almost ancient, primal ritual of like college. Okay. So now the young, the young of the village all go out to this field and they all attempt to slay the fucking SAT monster. And the person that does it, forthwith, Jay Smithy defeated SAT monster in 400 verbal,
Huzzah!
800 math. Yeah.
Huzzah!
And so, and you realize like, oh no, wait, this matters a lot more. People take this a lot more seriously. And I fucking melted under that pressure. At PSAT, we had a tutor, and I ripped. Like I was fucking crushing. I was never good at math, but I would just destroy the verbal.
So just last night we were talking about how I don't know, the rules have sort of shifted. The new normal is that more millennials are living with their parents than ever before or whatever, and it's like I don't know, like part of me wants to embrace the story I was told from my parents, which is you're 18, you're out. But then part of me realizes like that's not the world we live in anymore.
You know, I feel like my personality benefited greatly from getting the fuck out, and not because I hated my mom. I loved my mom. I've never really had a bad relationship with my mom or my stepdad. But number one, I didn't have a choice in college because I was going to college out of state, so I can't fucking commute, right? But past that, I just realized, oh no, wait, this is life. life is terror. Life is not knowing what to do and then thinking about it a million ways from Sunday and just doing something because the hands of the clock keep moving. And at some point you got to eat, and then deciding whether or not you like that decision and improving. And that was something that, and the only time that I ever moved, that I ever lived back with my parents after that was when I came back to Florida to work with Andrew, and I still had like 5 months on my lease in Hoboken. And so instead of paying double rent, I lived with my mom for those like 5 months. And then as soon as that was done, or actually my old roommates wound up breaking the lease for themselves. And so I was out of that commitment. And that day I went and got another apartment. But
So-
I think it was important. It was very important to me at the very least.
Man, like, it feels like you and me were on a track, and then we realized the track was bullshit, and we jumped off and did whatever we wanted. It's tough as a parent. Like, we can't unlearn that fact that you and I learned.
Yeah.
And so then the question becomes, like, is it our job as elders to continue to tell that story?
I mean, because that's the thing, is
story
that
being a generous interpretation of what I just said.
in a lot of ways, you can't teach it. It can only be experienced. Like, you can say the words over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it's not gonna matter. In the same way that when we were having this conversation a while ago about, like, watching stuff with like sex or violence or language that you don't get when you're a kid, and that shit just washes over you. It's like, they're saying the words, they're having the sex, the boobies are out, the gun's going off, but you're, as a kid, you're just not there to understand
Process
it. You process it. I feel like that's the same way with these kind of lessons, is that, like, if I don't know, my instinct is to say that even you saying it delays it, but I don't know. Like, you just have to, you're eventually going to get to a point where you don't know what the fuck is happening, and you're going to have to figure out what it is, and you're going to have to figure out what to do. And, like, those are the lessons. And I don't want this to come off as like a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of thing, because I do think that there's obviously privilege and access. Like, you have an ability where you could say, all right, Penny, go off to college, or here's an apartment down the road. Like, you're now just going to live in an apartment down the road until you get a job where you can pay for it.
Pay for you to volunteer in Vietnam for 5 years or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. And these are awesome. Right. And my mom worked from a single mom to be in a position that I could go to an out-of-state school. And that was great. But past that, like, I paid my own rent. I've always paid my own rent. I've always figured out how to do it, because for me, I had a runway, and that runway was college. And either I figured out how to do it or I didn't. And, like, look, I certainly went into debt when, in my 20s. I remember this now as I've gotten older. And one of the truest things I've ever heard in my life is something that was told to me by a wise man named Brian Brushwood, that your 30s are like your 20s with money. And holy shit, I'm 7 years in, 10 out of 10 advice. Let me just tell you. But it's like, I remember being 24, 25 and looking at my, like, credit line that I had attached to my bank account. So it would overdraft into a credit line and not overdraft into, like, to take a fee or whatever. And seeing that I was like $5,000 in debt. Now, this is not including my fucking, my student loans and shit. But I remember just thinking, like, oh my fucking, that's the rest of my life. The rest of my life is digging out of that $5,000 of debt hole, because I was living beyond my means, just having an apartment. But, like, holy shit, when I cleared that debt, I felt fucking amazing. And when I paid off my student loans, I felt fucking amazing. And then I looked at larger things and said, oh, wow, this is possible. I can live in this place that I've kind of always wanted to live. I can buy a car. I can do these things like wherever you can get these lessons. And I know that it's that part of this is a position of privilege because I stood on the shoulders of everything that my mom did. But boy, were those the lessons that stuck more than anything I learned in high school, more than anything I learned in college. Like just being out in space and figuring out how those hoses worked. Holy shit.
Yeah, I remember senior year of high school being utterly and completely paralyzed about like, I have to choose. I have to choose. I have to choose. Yeah, well, I don't know. What's the right one? What to choose? And luckily enough, the Plan 2 program at UT, never forced me to really choose until like 2 or 3 years in. I don't feel like that's an option for most people. And short of that, it's like the advice I usually give is figure out what you hate. And the only way to do that is to try everything and just say garbage, garbage, hate it, never, no, let's go.
I mean, I would say, yeah, that and understanding that like life sucks, assholes. Like, man, does life suck. Like,
oh, the happiest of happy hours. Here we are.
Well, I mean, but just so you're not surprised. I think that's the biggest thing was just realizing like, hey, sometimes like working at a restaurant and fucking having people be bitchy fuckers or waking up and saying like, shit, I don't want to go to work, but I'm gonna go to work because it's work and I gotta get money and I want money. I like it more when I have that tip money, right? Of being a busboy, literally picking up people's dirty ass dishes and bringing them to the back. Like, it just was, I mean, it sucked then. It was really annoying then, but now when things don't go my way, boy, do I know that that's life.
Yeah, I suppose my version of that is like, I'm very, very thankful that for a year and a half, I worked a real job. Working a phone queue at Dell. I know what it really like my favorite part of the day was when I got to go to the bathroom. Like that means you have a real job. Oh my
God. Can we talk that? When I worked the desk job in New York coming out of college, boy, did I fucking love. Oh man, I loved that shitter time. That shitter time was the best.
I mean, that's how you know you're working a real job, right? And
yeah.
if you're not having that thought, congratulations. You don't have a real job. You have some kind of play program that you get paid for, and you're awesome and good for you. But if you are counting down the minutes to the next time that you could credibly go and spend time in a locked box that smells like shit, then maybe you might be working a job.
Yeah. And we're all given different campaigns. We're all given different attributes. But the goal for all of us is the same. And not to get into kind of weepy-eyed American exceptionalist, but like the idea that it is like in the founding document that like the pursuit of happiness is the concept, is like the thing that we promise each citizen or we hope for each citizen is rad. Like that's cool. Realizing that pursuit is hard, that pursuit is complicated, that pursuit is serious. Well, that's a whole nother matter.
All right. We got 10 minutes. What's some happy stuff we could talk about?
Happy stuff we can talk about. Do you want to watch you want to watch this Ben Shapiro WAP reading?
Sure. Also,
are you aware of WAP, the song that's sweeping the internet?
No, I know nothing about anything.
It is a song by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, two of the top women in the rap game.
Okay.
And WAP Brian stands for wet ass pussy.
All right.
House. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. Hold up. I said certified freak 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. P word is female genitalia. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word. Catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I want to ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my...
Kegel. That's fine.
This P word is wet. Come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like a lot more vulgar. Talk your S word, bite your lip. Ask for a call while you ride that D word. You really ain't never going to F him for a thing. He already made his mind up before he
What is
came.
the
Now get
thesis
your
here
that P word.
He's amazed that an
Pay my
artist
tuition
is
just to
being
kiss me on this
outrageous?
wet ass right. So this is
So
guys,
there's a preamble here that I guess was in the Reddit clip that this one doesn't start with, which is it's the culture war argument of like, this is what feminism has brought us. We had Susan B. Anthony, and now we have Cardi B, and shit. Like this is what they pass off as female empowerment.
They do have in common that they both use the N-word, but I'm much more approving of the more recent usage.
My God, if we were only 5 minutes, I would have, if we were past 55, I would have just fucking called it. That's the line of the day.
I mean, but yeah, man, that's what artists do. It's literally their job to titillate and push boundaries and make visible and loud that which is normally quiet and tucked away.
So here's the thing. Number one, this is a culture war that has been going on for a very, 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 very long time. In that Sinatra documentary that I plugged on Weird Things, they go into how much and passionately Frank Sinatra hated rock and roll. Thought rock and roll was the biggest piece of shit and a fad. Apparently, he was once handed the sheet music and lyrics to Yesterday to do a cover, and he threw it on the ground because he fucking didn't like it. And he hated the fucking Beatles. And they have an interview with him and Walter Cronkite back in, this has to be the late 60s, maybe. And he's asked, do you believe that we are sliding in our moral fiber of America? And unequivocally, he's like, yes, I do. And the reason is rock and roll. Like, that's Frank Sinatra, like, who then goes on to become retro cool because he was so sexually, sexually potent and was this element of masculinity that increasingly became naughty as it was anachronistic, and now it is totally verboten and bad, right? But he's like, yep, morals are slipping because fucking Elvis is wiggling his hips. Fuck this guy. And started this record label that refused to sign rock and roll artists until they were about to go under, and then was like, okay, we'll sign rock and roll artists.
Well, so in this case, the thesis is, this is women today talking about their pussies like they're dicks. We all know dicks are better. I mean, is that really what it boils down to?
I think it's the erosion of morals, the erosion that. So this is trending number one on YouTube, where everyone can see it, and any kid can see wet ass pussy talk whenever they want. And indeed, our heroes on the left, the people that are supposed to be leaders on the left, are not saying, hey, it's just for adults, but instead are going and saying, what a proud artistic achievement that these women have a #1 hit song that is all about the same kind of sexually explicit talk that men have. And that's bad, because it was bad that the guys were doing it. It's even worse that the women are doing it, because now they are going to be scandalized and made less than.
So where are you at on this?
There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. No, I mean, look, I grew up listening to booty music on the fucking radio. Like, when you grow up in South Florida, like, that's just what is on. There was always an element of scandalized, sexualized music that was on mainstream radio for me. It didn't prevent me from becoming somebody who was intellectually curious. It didn't prevent me from becoming somebody who was a good husband, or at least attractive enough as a mate to be, marriage material. So no, I don't think that there is much.
It feels like straight up parody and long time coming. And we've seen various iterations of the story being OMG parody. Who would have seen it coming? But if we've truly achieved it, then great.
Yeah. Look, it's just the first time that there's a woman with a fucking sexually explicit lyric song. The bigger thing, I think, in the music industry is that they are
sketchy 1234 says, is it parody though? I didn't say parody, I said parity. That means
equality.
We have achieved parity.
Although I was wondering, is there really a male equivalent? Like, has there been a song where two guys are just both talking about how they both have hard dicks? Like, we got hard dicks. Look at us. Come on over for some hard dick. I assume there is, but I haven't thought of that specific equalization.
I think of X, Y, and Z vectors. So it's like an X vector would be, I'm a guy with a hard dick, right? And then that was the dominant for all of time before this. Now we have a Y vector of we got wet pussies. But two guys talking about their hard dicks would transgress on the the straight gay verticality.
Yeah.
So expect that next. That's what I'm missing.
So yeah, so Bill Meeks points out that the Ying Yang Twins, and I'm assuming he's talking about the Whisper song, which the lyrics are "Wait till you see my dick, I'm gonna beat that pussy up," but it's not really explicitly like, no, we're two people and we both have impressive hard dicks. Like, that's the point where the Twin Towers, that gets us into another thing, but like we have big long dicks, and we're aware of how big and long our dicks are.
All right, so I see where you want to punch out. Hello, I'm Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, I'm Justin Robert Young.
We have very, very big, very hard dicks.
Me too, Brian. I also have a big hard dick, and we've talked about our big hard dicks amongst each other, so we all know that we're in the big hard dick club.
All of the ladies and the men know how big and hard our dicks are.
Pretty impossible not to notice when we're walking down the street that there's some big hard dicks, not flapping, just barely moving in the breeze because they're so hard.
And we are very promiscuous. We have sex with many, many people.
Yes, and you'll know it. Oh, you'll know it when our big hard dicks come a-knocking, and they physically can knock on a door because they're that hard. Like that, you'll know it. Believe you me, Mr. or Mrs., you will know it.
We also believe in equality with our big hard dicks.
And furthermore, I would like to bring up the deficit.
Both of our big hard dicks can only get floppy one way, and that's when the deficit gets too thick.
Yeah, and so we would like to talk about paying that down in a 10-year plan that we'd like to present to you right now.
Our big hard dicks believe in life, liberty, and property. I think we nailed it.
I think we got it.
Okay.
BigHardDickClub.com.
All right, we'll see you guys. Big Hard Dick Club. Oh. All right. Love you guys.
Happy hour. Night Attacks Happy Hour.